Today we're starting our electrical rough-in, which means marking our outlet locations and installing all of the boxes.
Then we will be ready to pull the wire, which is the hard part. Quick disclaimer in case it wasn't obvious, but we are not electricians and this is not intended to be a how-to video. We did a lot of research by reading the NEC, looking at other online resources, and talking to our local inspector in order to give ourselves the confidence to take this project on by ourselves. And if you're looking to do your own electrical work, I recommend doing the same because the rules vary quite a bit by locality. That said, in the process of doing our own electrical, I developed some spreadsheet resources to help us organize our circuit layout, figure out the materials we needed to buy, and I will make those available on our website. It's gonna be ready by the time the wire pull video is published, but I'm gonna come back and update the pinned comment of this video as well. Additionally, I'm gonna put together a cost spreadsheet that outlines exactly what we spent on all the materials for this project, in case that can help you in your electrical rough-in as well. That'll also be on our website. Let's walk through what we did last night.
So last night we started in the primary bedroom. We marked outlet locations considering where we were going to be putting furniture, as well as some of the code requirements that Alex taught me. So one code requirement is that you have to have an outlet on either side of every door within 6 feet of that door. And then from there, every outlet has to be 12 feet from those outlets.
And that wraps around corners. Windows do count as wall space. Doors and permanent openings are really the only breaks to that rule. Excuse me quick, I'm trying to avoid stepping on a small black gremlin who has decided to take up residence in... Hey, you're on YouTube. Camera. You're on YouTube. Jeez.
Can you be more polite? Close your legs.
Oh my goodness, you can see this dog is filthy from rolling in the mud earlier today. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That's our George. That's our George.
He's sleeping.
Falling asleep.
He says, I want a belly rub.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, that is the face of a happy dog. That's the face of a happy dog.
He's asleep. Well, someone's gonna need a bath before he goes in the camper.
The aftermath. Literal line of dust from where he's been laying on the floor. Okay, back to the stuff you came here for, electrical. These are standard 22.5 cubic inch single gang boxes. Your very standard receptacle box. That's what we'll be using for all the receptacles and single gang switches. We do have some variations on this, which we will get to in a little bit. We're in the closet. Elena, walk us through how you're installing these boxes.
So there are little tabs on the front of the boxes that you line up with the front of the stud. This is going to account for your drywall thickness. And then the second thing that we're doing is we cut this 2x4 as a template at the height that we want our boxes, set it on the template, push it against those little tabs, and then nail in from there.
That 2x4 is cut to 12.5 inches long. In combination with the 1.5 inch stud plate, sets the bottom of the box 14 inches off the floor. So that means the center of the outlet's right around 16 inches. We found that's a good, comfortable height, and we're gonna keep that the same throughout the whole build. What are those?
Don't look. Don't tell OSHA.
I'm calling OSHA on you. Sorry.
This is like the one and only time I am not wearing safety shoes on this property.
You're going to OSHA jail.
OSHA jail?
See ya never.
Can I bring Georgie?
No. No dogs allowed in OSHA jail. Look, he doesn't even have the proper safety shoes.
Exactly. He has to go to jail too.
Goodness gracious. Now, while it might seem like we're just winging this, I do actually have a plan that we've put together in Chief Architect. We're not gonna follow it to the T because we're adding things here and there, but this gives you a good idea of our electrical layout. I have all of the lights, the receptacles, the switches, how they're all linked together. That's distinguished with the dotted line. So I do have a good idea of where we're going with this. We are not just complete amateurs.
And we're also taking into consideration any HVAC. So whether we have an intake or exhaust.
Yeah, that is the beauty of being your own electrician and HVAC contractor and framer and everything else is I have this model and I have the plans, and in my head, I know where the vents are gonna go, I know where all the lights are gonna go, and that will save me, hopefully, from a little bit of rework down the road when inevitably in normal construction, trades interfere and they put things where other things belong because there was a miscommunication or something like that. So having this plan at a high level definitely helps. Now here's a bit of a tight situation. That box Elena's putting in now is for our Ethernet, and it's a little bit tight in that stud bay. She can't really swing a hammer that well, but luckily I bought this palm nailer for our joist hangers from framing, and it works great for this kind of work. It's the equivalent of just swinging a hammer.
Whoa, that's my first time using it.
That was your first time using it.
That's slick.
Now
We never have to swing a hammer again.
Yeah, it's amazing how that thing drives nails. Just a touch of a button basically, and your nail's in. Here, finish driving that one with it.
With this?
Yep.
That's insane. We're never doing a hammer again.
Yep, that is a fantastic invention. Didn't have to swing a hammer in that little space. You would have never been able to swing it anyway. Our little electrician's helper has really knocked it out of the park this morning and finished the 2 bedrooms. So we got to mark all the rest of ours now in the hallway, the bathroom, living space, kitchen. We ran out of daylight last night, so we couldn't do that. But we did reach out to Instagram, to our following on Instagram in the stories, to ask, where is a place that you wish you had an outlet that you don't?
Or a place that you have an outlet that's a must. Just in general, where should we put outlets?
Right. So we've gotten some interesting responses. What are some of the good ones that you've seen? One that I noticed was someone said behind the toilet for a bidet potentially. I personally have never used a bidet, but it is not out of the realm that we might want to try one sometime. So I guess they're heated, so you need a power source to heat the water or the toilet seat or whatever it is. So outlet behind the toilet does not sound like that bad of an idea.
And we can vouch for that because it's more sustainable because we'll use less toilet paper.
True, true. Saving toilet paper 1 squirt at a time.
1 squirt.
That's what it does, it squirts your butt.
Someone said about putting it in the island, which make sure to do that, yes.
That's actually code required. We're gonna have one.
Oh, I didn't know it was a code requirement.
For any like standalone countertop, I think for every 3 foot or something, you need an outlet. So we'll need a minimum of 2 outlets in our island, 1 at each end. We'll probably put 1 inside of a drawer too for like a charging drawer.
A lot of people are saying exterior lights, which we already accounted for. So they're saying for Christmas lights, things like that.
Yep, we did put those in before we put our soffit up. We'll be doing a switched outlet in the soffit for Christmas lights. We also have another box for security cameras, and we have 3 along the back for floodlights and security cameras.
Someone said they put one in their primary bedroom closet for an iron, which is interesting.
An iron.
We honestly don't iron that much clothes, but we did put an outlet in there in case we want to put some LED lights in one of the areas in the closet. 2 other really good ones that we got from multiple people is somewhere to hide your charging vacuum. Another is in a drawer for any type of charging for your phones and other devices. Being that we have a lot of equipment for our YouTube stuff, we are definitely going to be thinking about that. And then maybe also underneath a bathroom sink for charging toothbrushes, which that's a genius idea. I think we had thought about that when we were designing the house, but I would have forgot about it right now.
Yep, thank you, Instagram.
Yeah, thank you everyone for your feedback.
We are officially in the dog days of summer, and there's nothing more clear than this dog here. You hot dog? He's hot dogging. So we're making some progress on the receptacle mounting. We got most of the kitchen done. We actually laid out our cabinets to make this a little bit easier. The rule for this is actually a little bit different than normal receptacles. It's 2 foot, 4 foot. So 2 foot from the end of every countertop, you need a receptacle, and 4 foot minimum between receptacles. And there's also some ones around the sink. Our window is extra large, and so putting a receptacle within 2 feet of the sink, which is what the rule is actually not possible with this window layout. So I actually called and confirmed with the inspector that we could just do it at the edge of the window, which is about 3 foot and change, and he was okay with that. So that's how we're gonna stick with it. There are some products that you can get around that with, like these little sill light things you can put in the windowsill, or pop-ups out of the countertop, but they're a pain and they're expensive, so we're just gonna stick with this. Now we are on to switch box mounting. So I've tasked Elena with that. And the first decision is, how high do we want them?
And it's been a dilemma for us because I like the height of the 48, which is the standard, and Alex likes the height of 46.
We even made some markings on the stud to help decide. And this is why normal people just hire a builder with an electrician who just does it how they've always done it, and they don't have to make this decision. But here we are.
So what do you think? 46?
I like the comfort of the 46. It's at elbow height basically, so you barely have to lift your arm, but it's definitely lower than what you're used to seeing in most places, which are 48 to the top of the box. So it's literally, it's 2 inches lower than normal, But I kind of like that. It's basically the same height as all of our countertop receptacles. It's
such a hard decision. I feel like it's gonna haunt me if I make the wrong decision.
Yep, we ain't moving them after you make them. After you put them in.
But we don't want to split the difference, because if we do that, then our drywall, there will be like a tiny sliver above this, and that's just not ideal for drywall installers. So we're trying to think about the drywall install as well as comfort.
That's assuming it's hung horizontally, but it usually will be.
Yeah.
Here's 48 industry.
Oh, 48?
Industry standard.
Okay. Okay, give me a 46.
Locking it up. Here's 46.
It just seems so low, like if I were to put a label on it or something.
Put a label on it? What do you need a label for?
I don't know.
This is a 2-gang switch. One for the fan, one for the light. How hard is it? Takes you like 10 times to remember which one's the fan and which one's the light.
Okay, let me see it from far away. Is this a 46? Okay, what if I'm a tall person though?
Then it's at waist height for them. It's not even elbow height. It's at hip height. No, that's if you're tall, you're not doing this. It's even farther down though. How tall are the people we're inviting? I mean, should we raise all our door openings at the same time?
Do we have any tall friends or family? Not really.
I'm not worried about it. It's what's comfortable for us. That's really though, that's 44.
No, 46. Okay.
46.
Am I gonna regret this decision if I say 46?
Nope. Good?
Ah, okay, I guess.
Settled. Until 5 minutes.
As I've gone around and mounted receptacles, there's been a couple of additions and changes, mainly due to me. So the area behind me is where our TV is gonna be. We're gonna have a TV and electric fireplace, and on either side, we're gonna be putting in some built-ins, and I really want those bookshelf lights where they kind of like cast downwards. And I didn't really tell Alex about this before yesterday, and so we had to think about, okay, what do we wanna do there? Do we wanna have a switch to turn on those lights? Do we wanna manually turn them on? We had to think through all of that and plan for that ahead of time. So we're making slight changes as we go, and then making sure that we update our models so that we can make sure that we account for it when we're wiring all the circuits. When you're mounting your switch boxes for your light switches, you wanna be cognizant of anywhere that you're going to have door trim. So for example, we're right next to our back door here, and I have a piece of 1x4 trim to use as an example to see where this is gonna end up and where I can mount this. So whenever I put these next to each other, I see that if I were to mount my switch box right on this stud, it would actually be covered up by this trim. So the way that I'm gonna fix this problem is by using some blocking.
Also good to note that any box larger than 2 gangs needs to have solid support on both sides of the box. Box mounting presses on, and today Alina is working on lighting.
I got this really expensive light, and I'm making sure it fits.
Yeah, that is quality American manufacturing.
Just kidding.
So why did you make this?
I am a visual person, and I'm trying to figure out the sconce height for in the stairway. And so I wanted to mock something up similar to what I'm gonna be looking at for a light fixture, which is gonna be some type of sconce that has like a can underneath it. So that's what I'm doing.
All right, put it up. That isn't the sturdiest light fixture I've ever seen. Holy smokes. These boxes are just about 8 feet above the stair level. This rectangular one's just a temporary. That'll be around eventually, like the one below it. What do you think about 8 foot? 8 foot to the box. It looks pretty normal here. It seems normal.
I think as long as we go with the downlight like that.
You're gonna want a downlight. Illuminate the stairs. The wall is scutcheon, it centers on the box, yeah. Otherwise you'd see the box. It's a good thing we didn't hire our own electrician, because they probably would have ripped our heads off by now with the amount of indecisiveness and on the fly decision making that is being done on this project. So It's a good thing that we're at least mounting our own boxes.
We've been getting pretty lucky with some of our measurements, and I'm definitely gonna knock on wood after saying this. For example, Alex is in the area at the top of our stairs where we need to hang a chandelier, and luckily the joist that's right above the center of that is kind of offset, and so we can hang a normal light fixture box instead of having to use a pancake box. I got a hammer when you're ready. Just gotta be centered in the window, and then centered.
Center grid of the window is 25 inches from this side wall behind me. So I just measured 25 inches over from the top plate, put a mark, and I'm gonna center my box right on that.
Hammer. That whole joist is shaking. 3 boxes done. How many more to go?
At least 20.
I don't know that we have 20 down there, but we'll have to see. And we did hang up those sconce boxes, and I think we're gonna add a light down here at the bottom of the stairs right in front of that door. Well, not in front of the door, but above it.
I'm in the bathroom now. I've already hung this one vanity light here, looking at the spacing of the sink below and sort of figuring out, we got a 20-inch wide sink, 72-inch wide vanity, where's the sink center gonna be, and then we want the light to be lined straight up with that. Just happens to fall right on that stud, but we are not so lucky on this other one. It falls right here, basically in the center of the stud. If you were to put a 4-inch box on this side, it would really be noticeably off center because it's another 2 inches to the center of a 4-inch wide round box. Luckily, this is not the first time this has happened, so there are products to make this work. This is a pancake or shallow fixture box, also used for like fans because it's very sturdy. It can go right on a stud. And this is the same thickness as sheetrock. So you can mount it basically right on the edge of a stud and you don't have to worry about it protruding beyond the sheetrock. It comes with these lag screws and even a little Romex connector, which the lag screws are way overkill for what I'm using it for. It's just gonna be a light fixture. These are for if you really needed a fan, I guess. The only caveat with these is they're so shallow, there's not much volume, 6 cubic inches. So these can only be the last light on a run, and I believe it's only 14.2 wire they can accept. So luckily, this is the second light on this vanity circuit. We'll go from the switch up to that guy, then over to this, and then that's the end of that little lighting run. So I just have to put one single 14 gauge wire in here, we'll be good. Switching over to the bedroom, let's talk fan support. We originally were just gonna do a fan with lighting on it, and that was gonna be the only lights in the bedroom, but I think instead we're gonna do 4 cans and a fan with no lighting on it, because fans with no lighting tend to look better in our opinion. We wanted to get it dead in the center of the room, so I measured across both ways, found halfway point, marked, oops, there go my glasses. Marked halfway here and then marked halfway this way, and it's actually on the sloped ceiling. So luckily, a lot of fan brackets can accommodate a sloped fan. And I'm gonna be just putting a piece of blocking in the ceiling. There are special requirements when it comes to fan light boxes. You can't just nail up any old duplex, plastic box. It needs to be rated for fan support. So I'm using saddle boxes, or what they're called, because they saddle over top of a 2x piece of framing lumber. In my case, it'll be this piece of blocking here. And then there's heavy lag screws that go through that to fasten the fan. There's my bracket. I just use 3 pocket screws on each side to hold it up. And here's the weight test. You can do 3 pull-ups from a brace, it's probably good. I'm only a whopping 145 pounds, but no ceiling fan weighs that much, so I think it'll be okay. I shouldn't say no ceiling fan. No ceiling fan I'm putting here anyway. Okay, that's just to hold it up there, that 1 screw, and then the 2 main screws go in once the ceiling fan's in. It's ready for wiring. Ceiling joists are a little bit twisted, so good old clamp helps with that. These clamps have saved my life on a number of occasions. Pretty much necessity if you're doing much solo work. I'm pretty sure the pull-up test for fan box mounting is UL listed. UL listed testing method. That's one good fan box bracket. Attic lighting is probably not something that's talked about a whole lot, but I am going to put a few boxes up there, probably a switch and 3 lights, center and each end. There's hardly any space up there. It's maybe like 3.5 feet of headroom, but there will be times when I'm gonna get up there to inspect periodically, or I don't know, run a new wire or something like that. So it would be nice to have some lights. Maybe I can make one of them a receptacle light combo or something like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. That's gonna be fun crawling around up there, but at least there's no insulation yet. The next box on the list is gonna go right above this garage door, basically, sort of in the center of the shop area. I'm actually gonna put 2 outlets here, one for a just regular receptacle in case we do need a standard garage door opener. I have the regular one over there for the side mount, but in case we do need a regular, I'll need an outlet front and center there. And I'm gonna put a 240 volt outlet right next to it on a 30 amp circuit with some 10-3 wire. That is going to be for a future table saw or any other 240 volt tool that I want to be located right in the middle of the shop. Rather than running an extension cord on the floor from a wall outlet, I want to have a dongle hanging down that I can plug anything into, and then I don't have to be tripping over a cord anywhere else. And I plan to have most of my equipment on wheels, so sometimes I'll have the table saw in the middle. Maybe I'll have a project where I need a planer or something high power in the middle, but that'll give me some leeway. And then I can also use the normal 120 volt outlet to put a extension cord on a reel up there, so I can have an extension cord anywhere in the shop easily. I don't really want to put these right into the flange of the eye joist, and in fact they won't go anyway because that screw hole is going to miss the flange. So what I'm going to do is put a block here. I found that a piece of 5/4 board is the perfect width to bring that out almost flush, and then I'm going to put a 2x block on top of that, flush with the bottom of the joist. Then I can basically screw as much as I need to into this block, and I'll put both of my outlets there. And there's what it looks like all mounted up. You can see that I've already started running the 10-3 wire that's gonna go to that circuit. And the one thing to mention about metal boxes is they all need to be grounded. So there's a little grounding screw lug in the boxes. Doesn't come with the screw. I had to buy a pack of screws separately, but it's got to be a green colored grounding screw, and I've just used a piece of scrap number 10 wire here to make this little pigtail up, and that will get tied in with that ground so that that metal box is grounded and can never become electrified. The next box mounting task is for our lighting here down in the garage. I'm using just single gang rectangular boxes because we'll be using strip lights. I guess we could use the circular boxes as well. The thing that worries me about those is we're gonna be using Sega Myrex on the ceiling of this as an air barrier, and it's gonna be just harder to detail around those with the tape. So I'm gonna use rectangular boxes where I can. And the strip lights will be linked all together, so I really just need a box at one end of them anyway. I laid them out in Chief Architect sort of to get a visual of spacing and where the boxes needed to be, where the ends of the lights were gonna be. They're gonna be all daisy chained together, so one switch by the door will turn all the lights in here on the back garage on, and we'll be doing the same up front. Those turned out nicely. I originally had the one over here mounted sort of the opposite orientation, and then I realized my light fixture runs this way, and it would make sense to mount it so that it can be hidden basically by the light fixture when it's all said and done. Here's a random one. The utility room needs a light switch. Got to cut through this plywood in order to do it. Please excuse our mess of a thermostat here from the floor heat system. I just purposely left this long because I knew I'd be sort of moving it around and touching it up. I leveled this, I drilled a hole at all 4 corners, and then I'm just going to use my little multi-tool here to plunge, cut right through. Oh, and I used the box just to trace around to get my actual size here. Look at that. What do you think? Is it gonna fit? Hey, first try. I'll take that. Minor dilemma I didn't think about though with these new work boxes is I cannot get to those nails. There's also a little bit of a gap, but I could have shimmed that. But I can't get to those nails. They're angled towards the plywood, which makes sense. If this plywood wasn't here, you'd want them angled that way. So I think I'm gonna have to get an old work box for this. They have these little tabs that basically clamp the box flange to the plywood. Not a big deal. Like I mentioned, I don't really want to nail these boxes right into the eye joist flange because not only, I think, it would barely even catch the flange anyway, but I don't really want to damage the laminations here. So I'm going to do these little blocks, which turn out really nicely, thankfully, because I have this scrap here. Super easy to put them together just with my piece of 5/4 board and piece of 2x4. Really happy I kept this scrap around. Otherwise I'd have to be measuring this out every time. That would be a bummer. I can just go sit this here, 2 little screws from the back, and this 2x4 is at the perfect height. I can then mount the box to that, and the nails have a lot of meat to grip into, of good solid wood. Ready for install. That's a smoke alarm right there. To mount the main garage light boxes, of course, I broke out Chief Architect again to lay out the most even spacing of the 3 light strips. I'm gonna do 3 20-foot long strips. It's made up, 1 strip is made of 2 8-foot and a 4-foot fixture linked together. This is a 22-foot deep garage bay, so it should come within a foot of the wall on either end. And I actually brought one of the light fixtures over. It's got to knock out every 4 inches along the length of it. So I just came out 20 inches from the wall here. It's gonna require some fine tuning, I think, when it's ready to be installed, but I think this should be good. Holding this thing up here with my impact while I'm trying to grab a couple screws. Easier said than done. Electricians definitely got to work overhead a lot. It's a tough profession in that regard. Always working on a light or a wire or something in the ceiling. Plumbers get that a little bit, but I think they're mostly bent over under a sink, unfortunately. The trades are just definitely work. No way to slice it. It's hard work, but it's rewarding. Love it. One thing I've gotten pretty good at since we started electrical is navigating around solo on a scaffold from up high. Now that I say that, I'm probably gonna fall off of it. Knock on wood. It's kind of fun once you get the hang of it though. This box is super important to get mounted in the correct location because it's the one that holds the chandelier over top of our future dining room table. We mocked up the table size and location with some 2x4s on the floor. Now I'm going to basically shoot a laser straight up where we want it to mount this box in the right location. I just bought this laser level for the sole purpose that it shoots a dot vertically straight up from where it's sitting. My existing level did not do that. So I have this position where our table is laid out and we have centered the laser right in the middle of this. Now all I have to do is put a ladder up and I can see where that dot's shining, and I know that's exactly where my box has got to be. Of course the dot is like right next to this stud, so I was going to use a blue stretcher mount box, but that's why they make these little 1/2-inch thick pancake boxes. It's the same depth as the drywall. I'm just going to have to add 1 piece of 2x4 blocking right here, and then I'll have something to screw this up into, and my Romex can come back through the top. That is strong. Ooh, laser. Yeah, I'm using the laser to mark our center line for these sconces, or I guess they're not really sconces, they're ceiling fixtures that will hang above all 3 of these windows. So we'll have 3 here. Just want them centered right over each window. These stretcher boxes are adjustable, so they work with different stud widths, and the box can slide along them as well, which is really handy. You just put the screws to clamp it in when you got it where you want it. So just got to get it mounted up, and then we'll slide it and lock it in. This is an adjustable box which we have above all the countertops. These make it really nice to be able to adjust for tile backsplash. This little screw just runs the box in and out.
We also decided to rough in a dedicated circuit behind the stove in case we eventually ever wanted to change from gas to induction. I made a short form video of this which sparked controversy from Facebook's electrician community, but one good piece of advice that came from all the comments was that stoves have an open area at the bottom to accommodate a plug or gas connector, so I did end up moving both of these boxes just above the floor.
For these high amperage circuits, I like using metal boxes. They seem just a little bit more sturdy. I had Elena mount this box, didn't get any footage of it, but this is another heavy duty circuit that we're putting in for future electric car. We do not own an electric vehicle at this point, but it's not to say that we won't sometime in our life. So it would be nice to have an outlet in the garage that can support one of the chargers. We will be running 6'2" Romex to this. Again, you can use MC cable or conduit, or there's a number of ways to accomplish it. Romex, what I'm most familiar with, and is pretty easy. So we'll be doing 6'2". I think it's going to be a 50 amp circuit breaker, but I'm actually not going to wire this up to the panel. I'm just going to leave a coil of wire at the panel because we don't have an electric car and we don't need this outlet taking up a double breaker in the panel right now. At that point, I'm probably going to have a sub panel anyway for a future shop, and so at that point I will wire it up there.
On the next electrical installment, we're pulling some wire. But first, we have to take care of a few new construction renovation projects, as I like to call them. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.